So I did my conceptualization on MK, who was the client case that Charlie had provided. And MK is a 23-year-old Black female who uses the pronouns she, her, hers. Her sexual orientation is unknown as she declined to discuss that further in session. She was raised in the suburbs of Milwaukee and is the eldest of 5 children, so she has 4 younger siblings. Her mother has a college degree, but her father does not. And MK is continuing in her mother's footsteps as she is currently a junior at UW Milwaukee and is studying nursing. She is living on her own off campus, and this is the first time that she has done so. To pay for her apartment, she has to work a part-time job. Living alone is a pattern that is consistent in MK's life, as she has documented not having a lot of social support throughout her life and has never had a partner. She has also experienced more recent familial upsets as her parents have gone through a recent divorce, and while her father remains unmarried and not in any type of romantic relationship, her mother has found a new partner who she is with at this time. What brought MK in for therapy is actually due to a referral from her nursing advisor. So, MK has been experiencing daily panic attacks, and she states that she does not know the exact trigger of them, that they just are happening out of nowhere, in her opinion. She also has been experiencing depressive moods more frequently lately, and the panic attacks and depressive moods have been leading to a lack of motivation and a sense of helplessness, which have all been affecting MK greatly, both academically and outside of school. However, academically, MK has been starting to struggle greatly, which is not common for her as she has performed above average in high school, and so education has been a priority of hers for a long time. And so these failing grades are not something that are typical of MK. She states that she is feeling unmotivated to attend class, and that instead of going to class or doing anything else in her life, even outside of academically, that she spends most of her days sleeping. Like I said, she has a general sense of lack of motivation and helplessness, and an inability to focus both inside and outside of school. MK has been seeking therapy now after the referral of her nursing advisor, and she has completed an intake session, 3 regular sessions, and 2 follow-ups. And while she does consistently come to therapy, MK has been difficult to get to engage in the sessions. She is open to completing homework and tasks, and she does so regularly, but she declines to comment further on her homework, tasks, or anything else in session. Her reactions are either shoulder shrugs or one-word answers. It is very difficult to get MK to engage and elaborate more. She also has never appeared completely comfortable in session. She often fidgets, looks around the room, or avoids making eye contact with her therapist. Despite all of this, however, MK does continue to make weekly appointments. So after a weekly appointment ends, she very quickly schedules another appointment for the next week at the same time. So there is hope there, however, that MK is interested in therapy and is dedicated to the process. There are some main goals for MK in her therapeutic process, and those are to first help address her panic attacks so that they either stop happening, or if they do, MK feels confident in having the tools to manage them so that they are not severe and taking over her life. Another goal is to decrease the severity and frequency of MK's depressive moods, which with that comes along the lack of motivation and sense of helplessness. And by addressing all of that, MK's academics would likely improve. The last prioritized treatment goal is to increase MK's social support. Like I said, MK has a history of more social isolation, and so it would be important for her to have people in her life to help her through trying times, but also we as humans, we need social interaction, whether that is platonically or romantically, to be healthy, well-rounded individuals. So even outside of trying times, it is important that MK develops those relationships. So with all of this said, it appears that MK has some core beliefs of being unlovable, inadequate, and powerless, according to a CBT perspective. So with the unlovable core belief, as I said before, MK is very reserved with her guard up high. So MK is likely believing that she is unlovable, or that there's something wrong with her, or she's too different for people to actually invest that type of time and love and energy into her. And so when they do, she doesn't believe them. She likely doesn't believe them. And she gets cold. She shuts down. And so where she is thinking that people aren't interested in her, or even if they are at first and that interest stops, she's thinking that's because of something innate within her. Where actually it is likely because MK is giving the impression, whether that is through cold looks, inability to really communicate with them, etc. She is giving the impression that she does not want to be approached and that she is not interested in a relationship with them. Again, whether platonically or romantically, even if that is not the case, and if she actually does want that. Regarding the I'm inadequate belief, we see this more in regards to MK's schooling. So MK has been, like I said, above average in her schooling in the past, and more recently she has started to slip in some of her classes. And so MK, instead of being able to recognize that everyone fails in life and that that is a part of life, even in the most successful people, she is taking that as, nope, I'm inadequate. If I'm making a mistake, it just means I can't do it, I'm bad in it, and I need to quit. So also, we might see this in her really good grades though, which if she's thinking she's inadequate, she might feel the need to excel or try to excel at everything to balance out her inadequacies other places. Regarding the I'm powerless core belief, MK, this is seen more in her reaction to her parents' divorce. So she likely has a assumption of, if the status quo stays the same, I'm fine, but if something changes, I will not have the power to cope with that or to fix it. And that others need to take action, as she does not have the power to do so. So we see this likely with her parents' divorce, where they got divorced, and that was a big decision that affected her life. That was completely out of her control. She had no power over that, or at first, the effects and results that came after that. But where MK has gotten stuck is thinking that, well, yes, she can't control what happened. She can control how she moves forward from there. But since this is a big change and the status quo got messed up, she's likely thinking that she doesn't have the power to fix it and that just what has happened and she needs to deal with that the way it's happened, and that is why her mental health concerns have likely spiraled, because she likely thinks that this is just her life now, this is just reality. I can't necessarily do anything to fix this. And we see this a bit too with her nursing advisor, as it wasn't someone else that took the action to get MK the help. It was her nursing advisor. And in session, we don't see MK necessarily taking as much action as she should be, because she does struggle to elaborate and go deep outside of her homework. And so there are a couple interventions that I recommend using for MK. And the first is standard questioning, and specifically Socratic questioning. And the reason that this is recommended is that this is a great technique to help clients modify their thinking. And this can help MK uncover the illogical fallacies in her dysfunctional thoughts and assumptions. Again, going back to the being cold, she could start to see that that's likely because her signal is telling people she doesn't want to be approached, and that thinking that they're not approaching her because she's unlovable is pretty illogical. So that is one recommended intervention. And examples of questions that could be asked are, what's the evidence that this thought is true? What is the effect of believing this automatic thought? And what could happen if I changed my thinking? Another recommended cognitive intervention for MK is to use coping imagery. And the reason that I chose this one is because MK has exhibited a struggle to communicate verbally. Like I said, it's the shrugs or one-word answers, and a lack of eye contact. And so doing so, having interventions that can kind of go in her mind more, where she doesn't necessarily need to verbally interact with people, might be something that she is willing to partake in and open her up a bit to the therapeutic process. So what that would look like is having MK imagine herself engaging in specific activities that she fears or thinks are impossible, such as like living life post her parents' divorce, feel the negative emotions that come with that, but then also continue this imagery into viewing herself using the coping techniques and how that will allow her to live a more positive and healthy life moving forward. Now, this might be difficult, and MK could get stuck in this. And so, if she does have difficulty with this, a management technique for this would to be, as the therapist, to ask her questions as she is going through this that can help guide her through and motivate her to see the more positive parts of this. So this could have a couple benefits of this can help motivate MK to engage in the process of learning coping techniques, but also put her in a place of, if she has already learned them, to utilize them. And going back to the prior, if she hasn't learned any, she can maybe imagine what her life would look like if she does use them. That might motivate her to keep using them. Some other challenges that MK might experience are with being inadequate or powerless to change. So in setting goals throughout the therapeutic process, I think that might be one of the places that comes up the most, as that does engage in her ability to change specifically. And so to help her through that, it might help her to understand the goals that she can control and the ones that she cannot. Because as humans, we can't control everything. And so normalizing that for MK of, yep, you're right, you can't control everything, but you can control these, might validate her. And also, if she's focusing on what she can do, it might take the discomfort off of what she can't. In identifying her cognitions, there also might be some problems. And one way of getting through that is when she is actively avoiding doing so, either behaviorally or cognitively pushing those away. It would be useful to question her again, of asking what's going on, getting into that, and so bringing that into the current. And so while she's trying to push it away, gently bringing her back into that so that it can be addressed. And also, since she does have problems verbally explaining more, making these questions more multiple choice, where it can be a yes or no, which is something she's already comfortable doing, versus a long extended answer might make it more approachable for her also. So just meeting her where she's at with the questioning and making these multiple choice. In modifying her assumptions, again, she might have some problems here, and it does appear that she's open to completing her assigned homework and tasks. So with that, to help her in getting past challenges of modifying her assumptions, having her create a chart of the advantages and disadvantages of her assumptions might be useful. It's homework, she's been open to homework, so that might be something she would do instead of verbally talking about it. And again, it can help her logically see in a chart of what's working for her, what's not, motivate her to work through that, and it's something she can actually physically keep and reflect on when needed. So if she's open to doing homework, help manage these difficulties by giving her homework that she might be open to. That will logically help her see what's going on here, what she needs to do to move forward. And in struggling to modify her core beliefs, again, since she said she was feeling unmotivated and helpless, it would be necessary to help to provide as much motivation as possible for her. So in modifying her core beliefs, as she's struggling with that, explaining how the coping strategies that we are trying to introduce her to are linked to changing these core beliefs might motivate her to change them. Because if someone just tells you you should change this or this is wrong, you're not necessarily going to believe it. But actually providing that link of here's what I'm telling you to do and here's your why of why I'm telling you to do this, that will help, I think, dispel some of that questioning or distrust. And again, MK already does have distrust in people liking or wanting to help her. But again, it might motivate her since she can see actually that reward and see that tangible path forward. So that is my conceptualization on MK according to a CBT approach.